John and Brigitte Ermsum wanted to combine the culture of a city center and old-world Tuscan charm when they renovated the entertainment spaces of their apartment or palazzo.
We live in Barga. Barga is one of the most beautiful mountain towns of Italy. It's a very, very magic place. You can feel almost that generations of people have lived here. Our house, it's at the so-called Piazza Angelia. We are right at the heart of this old town.
Before, you could tell that nobody had lived there for 40 or 50 years.
Walls had holes, cracks. It was empty. Now we have a home which reflects our taste, our interests. It's something we deeply enjoy. Now this is our entrance hall. This is the first room you come into. The real beauty of this room, in a way, is this mantelpiece. And so it's about 500 years old, but one of the real beauties. It has this wonderful parquet floor made out of rare wood from Africa.
We had it hand scraped and restored.
It's beautiful. Simply beautiful. Then it has this wonderfully warm color, almost a sienna color. We love it because it has a unique warmth to it.
This is our ringside seat on the famous Italian Theater of Life. Here I can step up, I can see what's going on in the town. People come here in the summer for one purpose only, and that's to have a good time, to celebrate. And this is our little kitchen. In fact, it's a kitchenette or a kitchenella.
This is granite from Sardinia. We feel it unifies the space. This is our precious balcony, and it's tiny, teensy-weensy, but we're so lucky to have one at all. We sit here and have a breakfast here. The view just always lifts my spirit. It's a wonderful way to start the day.
Tuscany is just not only rolling hills. Here we are in Barga, in the heart of the Garfagnana.
I mean, clearly, this is much more of an urban environment. I mean, you still have the beautiful Tuscan architecture, but it being more urban, it kind of frees you up to have a little more contemporary or eclectic interior. Andrea, all I have to say is, wow, this is a grand space.
Yeah, you just feel like a king when you're here.
Very well put.
Bravo,
bravo.
But think about it, we're talking about in the middle of the 15th century, and the Medici were ruling, and this was one of their homes away from Florence.
I mean, it just feels so important. And I think one of the primary reasons why is this fireplace.
I mean, you will have to be blind not to notice that.
You can see the engraving and the symbols of the Medici family, and every buyer would just walk in here and say, wow.
The rooms themselves make their own design statement. It doesn't really matter what you do or don't put in them.
I immediately look down and I see these incredible floors. They're not the terracotta floors that we're used to seeing in a lot of these Tuscan rooms.
Indeed, this is a very intricate pattern, and it shows that this is a little bit of a one step higher than the normal household.
Yes, that's definitely true. It's not a farmhouse. We had to approach this place completely differently.
This obviously is a color that the homeowners put in, and I think they've definitely shown that they are putting their personal flavor into this space.
Typical buyers would expect more of a traditional situation, and this is a little bit out of the ordinary.
We had to find a line between an obligation to this beautiful heritage of Italy and having fun ourselves.
Here is the kitchen. I would say a little bit small for the kind of property that we're talking about, and the buyers might find it not adequate.
We couldn't make it any bigger because the walls were already there.
Okay, we can talk about the kitchen in just a second, but come on, look at that view.
What could be nicer than cooking and standing in there and seeing the mountains? And it's absolutely gorgeous.
Yes. Sweetheart,
Yeah.
that's very true, especially in as much as I do most of the cooking.
Okay, so now that I'm past the view, which I'm really not past, I'm looking at the kitchen. It doesn't immediately say to me, Tuscany. This to me looks a little bit like Sweden and Italy came together and had a kitchen.
That's very well put. That's exactly what it is.
Now, let's talk about the cabinets. They're really light wood. I love the frosted glass, but again, it feels very contemporary. It doesn't feel Tuscan to me.
Oh, it's meant to be contemporary. We did not try to have an antique store in our kitchen.
Andrea, please. I would never leave this space. You know, walking into the kitchen, it's much smaller than what you would expect from a grand palazzo, but there is this phenomenal view that you see from this alfresco dining space.
Yes, that's one of the great beauties of that small space.
Vern, buyers will go crazy. An outside space in a palazzo, this is very unusual.
I feel like a palazzo ruler. This is amazing.
Coming up,
The average return on investment in Tuscany is about 115%. The question is, how much better can you do?
find out the incredible results next.
Andrea, really, thank you so much for being such a special guide through Tuscany. I learned so much, and thank you for showing me 3 really phenomenal properties, all with entertaining spaces that were renovated for $80,000.
Tuscany is very hard to renovate, so whatever money you put in, you're going to get your 100% back. The question is, how much better can you do? The average return on investment in Tuscany, it's about 115%.
Okay, well, so let's talk about who got the biggest bang for your buck. Jan and Renato, they live in that amazing 1,000-year-old villa near Cortona. You know, they had the kitchen that most closely resembled my version of a Tuscan kitchen, an incredible dining room, and that outdoor alfresco dining space. I did not expect to see that much seating outside, and I also didn't expect to see a standard American-sized refrigerator. I learned that that's kind of important now.
They did an amazing job. They put all their enthusiasm in the renovation, and therefore they're going to get 115% back, and that is $92,000.
Let's talk about Arthur and Martha. They live in that exquisite farmhouse right outside of Arezzo. You know, I was blown away by the super professional kitchen and, of course, that magical courtyard. I really was surprised to see a little more color in Tuscan kitchens, and I was also really surprised that you can't change the structure of an old farmhouse. You have to work with what you've got, and they did a really nice job.
They're actually going to get 120% on the return on investment. That is $96,000.
Let's talk about John and Brigitte. That's that amazing urban palazzo with the huge, grand, important dining room and the kitchen with views of the Tuscan mountains that go on for miles. I was really surprised that even in an urban setting, you still managed to get alfresco dining in, and the Tuscan design can really be very fancy and very refined.
They did a great job. For their renovation, they're going to get their money back. And they will get 110% in return on investment, and that means $88,000.
So that means that Arthur and Martha got the biggest bang for your buck. They had an incredible kitchen that was really professionally done with all the special Tuscan touches, the materials, the colors, a really elegant dining room, and on top of that, they had an alfresco dining space that seats tons of people.
We fell in love with the Tuscan countryside about 10 years ago, and we've been coming back ever since.
There's lots of room sort of for the heart and for the mind in this place.
It's a spectacular place that you can't wait to come back to, and you hate to leave.